No, my name is Josh Wackler. I'm the Chief Recruitment Officer for Alpha Gamma Rho, and we're here this morning to talk about Alpha Gamma Rho, talk about AGR, who we are, what we stand for, kind of what our traditions have been, and where we're moving in a new direction. So before we really get too in-depth with it, though, what I want to know, guys, is how many of you, show of hands, in the last 3, 4, 5, 6 months have heard or read or seen something about this new AGR branding initiative, this brand? Most of us, right? Sigil & Sheave, website, Crescent, something, it's on there. And if you're like most of the people I've talked to, you're probably sitting there, you're reading that, you're seeing it, you're thinking, branding initiative, what is this? What have we done? Why did we do it? How's it been done? When did we start? What's been the point? And that's what we're going to talk about today, guys. I want to answer those questions for you. I want to address the very most common question that we've gotten across the board of why. Why have we done this? Why have we done this branding initiative? Why have we redefined our promise and values? And really, guys, the big main reason for this whole thing is consistency. That's the best answer to that question. What I mean by that is, gentlemen, we have 69 groups around the country. 69. And oftentimes in the past, it's almost like we've had 69 different messages. What AGR represented at Maine was a little bit different than at Cornell, was a little bit different than at Wisconsin River Falls, it was a little bit different than at Washington State. And what we wanted to do is unify that message of what AGR is, what we stand for, who we are, so that we all have one main Alpha Gamma Rho promise, values, and brand, if you will. A lot of you probably asked the question, and I asked the question first, is what is a brand? What is that? When we first started talking about it, I said, guys, what are we doing this for? We're a fraternity. We don't have a brand. We're a men's organization. It's Alpha Gamma Rho. There's no brand name. When I think of brand names, you think of the Nikes out there, or the Ford versus Chevy versus Dodge. Who's a Ford guy in here? Woo! How about Chevy? Yeah! How about Dodge? Woo, okay, you guys in the minority. And we could probably sit here and for the next 3 days and have a rumble about which one's better. And whoever's standing at the end of the day wins, right? So that's usually what we think about when we think about brands. So what exactly is that? I asked the question, what is a brand? And this was the answer I got. You actually have a definition of a brand up there. Your brand is a perception or an emotion maintained by someone other than you that describes the total experience of having a relationship with you. So what I want to do, guys, is maybe put it into a perspective of something that you can relate to. This is what really helped me. So what I'm going to do is on this next slide, guys, there's going to be a bunch of logos, of artwork, of things like that, and I'm going to give you 3, 4, 5 seconds to chew on it, and then I want to hear your reactions to it, okay? I can already hear the grumblings. All right, who are the Packers fans in here? Woo! What do you guys think of the Vikings? Boo! Who are the Vikings fans in here? What do you guys think of the Packers? So that's what we're talking about, guys. When we say a brand, it's that reaction you get when you think of that product, when you think of that organization, when you think of that company, and that reaction that you have inside. That's what a brand is, gentlemen. A brand is not a marketing campaign. It's not a catchy slogan. It's not a tune you see on a commercial. It's not one of these logos. It's what they are and what they represent and how they act. Because a brand is not about that. Our brand is not about this green and gold thing up here. Our brand is about who we are, how we act, and how we represent ourselves to the outside world. We set out to decide, and we thought, okay, what is our brand? Currently, what do people think of Alpha Gamma Rho? When they see the words Alpha Gamma Rho, when they see our house, when they see us walking around with those 3 letters on, how do they react? What is their perception when they see us? What we did in those focus groups is we had discussions with those guys. We said, what do you like about AGR? What do you dislike about AGR? So then we said, okay, we've got all this research. We see what people perceive us to be. We see what people want us to be perceived as. Now how do we communicate that? So we set out to make a promise statement. Through a lot of trials, a lot of changing, a lot of adjustments after a bunch of feedback and then some more research, we came up with a promise statement. That we say, this is how we want people to perceive AGR. This is what we want going through people's heads when they see those 3 letters. And it is. Alpha Gamma Rho is the fraternity sharing a common bond within a dynamic global agriculture. committed to fostering the highest values and providing each and every brother with superior lifelong personal development and professional success. So ultimately, again, this, guys, is what we're saying. We want people to think. We want faculty members. We want parents. We want prospects. We want anybody and everybody that's familiar with AGR. We want them to think this when they see those three words, when they see Alpha Gamma Rho. All right? So we finished that. We got the promise statement done. We thought, okay, great. Now what? We need a little bit more. We need a guideline. We need something to help us make sure that happens. So we went out to implement a list of values. Again, what values are is they help us in living out the promise statement. We all saw what that promise statement was. I read it out loud. Good. That's what we want to happen. How do we do that? And we created a list of 10 values. And we basically said, this is how you guys need to live. As individuals, as chapter members, this is how you want to represent yourselves. And if you do these 10 things, then that's how people are going to see us, that promise statement. So those values are, consistently perform as a professional, integrity-driven, world-class organization committed to the highest of standards and driven to recruit men of the highest potential. Always present a positive image of Alpha Gamma Rho in everything we say or do. Inspire a pursuit of academic excellence among all our members. Encourage lifelong involvement in the colleges and universities we call home. Foster lifelong personal development through innovative educational, leadership, and social opportunities. Engage all brothers in professional development, promoting lifelong career success. Attract members representing the breadth, sophistication, scope, and relevance of agriculture. Reflect, value, and advocate diversity in our membership and professional lives. Ensure sound financial management and responsibility individually and at all levels of the fraternity. Enthusiastically recognize and reward accomplishments consistent with our promise and value. So again, what we're saying, guys, is if we do these 10 things and we do them well, then that promise statement is going to be true. People aren't going to be able to help but think that promise statement when they see Alpha Gamma Rho.
It's pretty cut and dry, and there's multiple levels within this. I mean, you can have a brother going to a waitress wearing letters, not tipping the waitress. The waitress is in another sorority or on campus. She goes back and tells her friends, oh, I waited a bunch of AGR guys. They didn't tip me. They were real rude. I mean, everything we say or do reflects back on your chapter, on every single one of us in this room, our national organization.
Value number 7 was attract members representing the breadth, sophistication, scope, and relevance of agriculture. We all hear about quantity and quality, but we also need to take in consideration the variety of people. We all have ag business, ag ed, ag something majors. We need to make sure that we get biotechnology, business, anyone and everyone who has desire or background in agriculture and would like to keep learning that course and who would like to have the benefits that we have as AGRs.
I actually kind of ask you a favor of everybody in the room. So at this point, we've called this a branding initiative. This has been a rebranding process for Alpha Gamma Rho. The favor I'm asking of all of you is forget about that word. Don't think of this as a brand. Don't think of this as a branding initiative. Because guys, it's not about that. It's not about a brand. It's not about this green and gold logo. It's about how we act and how we compose ourselves and how people perceive us in the outside. Guys, this isn't a new concept. And to prove it, I want to show you this quote. Some of you may have seen this. It's in the Golden Crescent. It says, I want my fraternity, our fraternity, to be the best, strongest, and cleanest under the sun. I want her future to be as bright as her untainted and stainless past. I want her men to be leaders of the future, not because they are fraternity brothers, but because I believe them to be the strongest of character and the most honorable and resolute of the times. I want each of them, by their deeds and actions, to justify the existence of Alpha Gamma Rho. I want each of them, by their deeds and actions, to justify the existence of Alpha Gamma Rho. So don't think of it as a new green and gold dotted mark. Don't think of it as a branding initiative. Don't think of it like that. Think about it as justifying the existence of Alpha Gamma Rho through our deeds and our actions. Because that's what it's all about. That's all we've done here. It's clarified what that is. And that's what the promise and values really are all about.